right, welcome to this episode of Turnbuckle Tapes with your tag team champions. My name is Liam, and this is my tag team partner,
Kyle, and I hail from WCW Monday Night Nitro in June 9th, 1997.
That's awesome.
We are here with our special guest today, JP Brown, the owner of Fighting Spirit Pro. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, yes.
Yeah, no worries. So, real quick, starting off, do you have a favorite Nitro girl?
Do I have a favorite what? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Nitro girl?
You
let's
can
go
say
Spice.
Me. Oh, okay.
Go
Let's
Spice?
go Spice.
Spice. You want to know mine?
Yeah, of course.
She's right behind me. It's Alex Wright.
Oh, no.
Das Wunderkind.
Das Wunderkind, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. I remember popping so hard. I don't know if you guys are fans of The Office, but there was an episode where Ryan was like, "They keep calling me a Wunderkind, and I don't know what that means." And I was just like, "I've heard that from WCW. I know what that is."
It's from
Know what it
wrestling.
means.
Like, he learned so many weird things watching wrestling, being a fan of wrestling, being a part of wrestling, that like you just develop a really eclectic range of fun facts that you can spout it off at any time. So.
No, I'd agree with that. It's
It's like a weird. So I watch a lot of like random like TikTok videos and stuff, and I'm like, just in my head, I'm like, that's not even a promo, but that was the greatest promo I've ever seen. Like,
Oh, for sure.
just like two drunk guys sitting at a bar talking shit to each other.
Yeah,
It's like, this is great. Where's the
you gotta respect that hustle.
Exactly.
Not the promos are everywhere, especially like UFC. What's one of the reasons why it's so successful is because it took all of the really cool stuff about professional wrestling and then put it into a package that people like. They don't realize it, but when Conor McGregor, I almost called him Colin McGregor. Conor McGregor gets up there just talking mad crap. It's like, that's professional wrestling. Muhammad Ali, I'm the baddest of all time. That's professional wrestling. It's everywhere, and you don't even see it. That's what makes it so great.
No, I'd agree with that. And then it definitely expands further than that, like even just with movies and stuff, like with wrestlers being in other movies, we talk about that like from time to time.
And speaking of movies, I see the Casey Jones mask back there.
Yeah. Actually, Kyle made that for me.
That's awesome, dude. That is a really cool mask. Of course, Kevin Nash famously was Super Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2. Secret of the Ooze.
And I got Kevin Nash right there.
There it is.
Then I got Chris Nash.
You guys are on it, man.
Yeah, Liam. He was real shy. We met Nash at the Stockton Con. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
Stockton Con.
Yeah, so we met him there, and Liam was too embarrassed to get. He wanted the Magic Mike promo shot. Kevin Nash. I was like, "You can get it, dude. Like, I'm not gonna say nothing."
I don't want the old glory Magic Mike promo photo.
Should have bought it for him, man.
I thought about it. I gave him a Casey Jones mask. So
I learned something interesting. See, I'm a big fan of Kevin Nash, and I always pop when I see him in like random things. Like if you've seen John Wick,
yes,
and he pops up behind him, and he says, "You look like you've lost some weight." Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
What's funny is that I guess when he says he lost 60 kilograms, that means that he lost. I think it was like, if I'm doing the math right, that's like what, 120, 130 pounds or something like that. But it's 132.3 pounds. He goes, I've lost 60 kilograms. That was his way of telling John Wick how many people were inside the building, and that's why he didn't get shot in the back of the head, which I thought was cool. This little Easter egg that I found out on the back end. But I met Kevin Nash, and I actually told him, I was like, "Look, dude, I loved you in the NWO, but you'll always be Super Shredder to me."
Yeah, that was a
nice guy
factoid that I learned.
It was very nice.
Very nice.
Big tall son of a bitch though.
That
Big,
is-
big man.
Yeah, he's not a small guy.
No, not at all. Oh man. So JP, why don't you talk about Fighting Spirit and how that came to be? Because I know that you guys were around for a period of time, and just kind of talk about the genesis and how that started out for you.
So Fighting Spirit started in 2012, end of 2012, beginning of 2013. And the reason it started was I had a friend who had a a class. He was a middle school teacher, and they were trying to raise money for I think it was like a field trip or something like that. And so he was a big wrestling fan. He actually trained to be a wrestler back in the day. And I don't even think he made his debut, but he trained. Anyway, so he hit me up. He's like, I'm trying to come up with, ideas for a fundraiser. What should I do? And I just jokingly said, why don't you do a wrestling show? And he goes, I don't know how to do that. And I was like, well, I've done it. And I promoted shows before, and I had hit or miss success. I've promoted in places like Kansas, which is just fun. And had a small town following there. And then we promoted in California. Had some issues in California. Just wasn't able to get it right. And so I took a break. And I just joked, why don't we do a wrestling show? And he said, sure. And so we got everything going. And I got guys like AJ Kirsch and Drake Younger. I had talent from SoCal. I was just able to kind of pull a lot of great talent together at the last minute. And we did the show and we sold out. And there was like 300, 400 people packed into the Merced Boys and Girls Club.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I was just kind of like, oh, that was fun, one and done, whatever. And then people started hitting me up. They're like, hey, you should do this again. And so Merced Boys and Girls Club was amazing. They're really gracious hosts, but it just wasn't economically feasible to continue in that venue at the time. Mm-hmm. And so we carried over to the Atwater Community Center, and we started small. We got like maybe 30 people our first FSP show in Atwater. And then as time went on, we were drawing 300 people easy. So we had to actually move from the community center to high schools. So we were promoting in high schools. And over that time, we had guys like Big Van Vader, rest in peace, Big Dog. We had, talent that was on the up and coming from on their way or, strictly after they'd left WWE. Mm-hmm. Candice LeRae was one of our tag team champions at one time. We've had, obviously, Brian Cage was our first FSP champion.
Yeah.
Guys like Jeff Cobb, Nicole Savoy, Drake Younger, Rich Swan, Chris Masters. Like, I can just go down the list. But the real heart and soul of Fighting Spirit were guys like Big Bad Sin, Tony Vargas, Daniel Torch, Bobby Hart. And we really tried to build a company around them. Well, as time went on and we saw more success, as a matter of fact, it's funny because my daughter was born the day before our anniversary show.
Cool.
Yeah, we had Sabu come in, and I wasn't even able to make the show because I was in the hospital with my daughter. Mm-hmm. As time went on, I started developing health issues, like really bad heart issues, to the point where, I'm in my 30s and I have a heart attack. And so I had another opportunity to work in a different place in a different industry. My health wasn't the greatest. And so I kind of left it in the hands of a couple other people. And then just the desire to continue just went away. I was more focused on my health and whatnot. And then flash forward to this year, Big Bad Sin, my dude, just posts on Facebook, which I never get on. I happened to get on. He goes, man, I missed the days of Atwater. And I messaged him. I was like, you're going to make me do this, aren't you? And so here we are. So yeah, it was a long, drawn out, boring story of just essentially we popped up out of nowhere. We went away. We came back, and now we're here.
That's cool. Yeah, because it's at least from the roster that I've seen that you guys have had. Because a little backstory for us, like we've just recently kind of got into the independent like wrestling, especially like the California like local wrestling, and Like,
Mhm.
knowing that you guys had people like Tony Vargas and Daniel Torch, like those dudes are pretty like staple in the Northern California like wrestling scene.
Absolutely.
But it after seeing Big Sin at the Reborn show like that, it's like he's definitely a lot of fun to watch, and I can only imagine the matches that him and Tony Vargas have had. Like,
Oh,
as
that
a
would
tag
be
team.
crazy to watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, they started off as a feud. They beat the crap out of each other like every show. It was insane. Then they tagged up and they won our tag belts. And so, we were going to have Vargas on this last show, and it didn't work out. At the very last minute, he had to pull out, which is understandable. You got a family to feed, you got obligations. It happens.
Yeah.
But we fully expect Tony and Sin to make an impact on these upcoming shows.
Nice. Do you
Leave it at
expect to
that.
have him on Maximum, or is Maximum Effort the name of the next promotion or the next?
Yeah, yeah. The maximum effort's October 19th, and then we've got other stuff happening in between. But yeah, that's the next big show.
Okay. That's cool. Hopefully they're able to get on that one. I'd like to see them again, or at least see.
Yeah, I love those guys. I really do.
Kyle, you look like you got something you want to say.
I was just gonna say that was my first time seeing Big Sin, dude, and that was like an impressive match. And his charisma carries over very well.
Oh, for sure.
I really enjoyed that. And then I was just like in my head, just because I know Tony Vargas and stuff, like picturing a match between them would be really, really fucking cool.
Yeah, what's great is Vargas and Sin are the longest reigning FSP tag team champions in history. They call themselves Chaos Inc., and they actually got their band back together for other promotions. So you may see them come in as Chaos Inc., you may not. But Vargas is a legitimate bad mother trucker. He is a former MMA athlete. He's a former NFL signee. He has competed in Ring of Honor. He's competed in Impact Wrestling when it was known as Impact Wrestling.
Mhm.
He's competed all over. But here's the cool thing about him. He's the only person in Fighting Spirit that has held our secondary belt, which was the High Stakes Championship, and our tag team belts. But he never got a shot at the heavyweight title. And I'm going to tell you this right now. On the shoot, he is constantly messaging me like, dude, when are you going to give me a shot? When are you going to give me a shot? If he wins the FSP championship, he'll be the only person to ever win all three belts. The high stakes title, which is what we used to have, spoiler alert, it's been officially retired. We're getting rid of it. We're going to introduce a new title.
Okay.
Which means that because that title goes away, if Vargas wins the heavyweight championship, he's the only one to ever hold all three. And he'll be the only one to ever hold all three. And I think that kind of is enticing to him. And that's me being like 100%. This isn't a wrestling storyline. This isn't like me being straight up. Like that is something that he's told me before that he wants to do. So we'll see where this goes. But I know that if him and Sin get in that ring, I feel bad for whoever's in that ring because I've been in the ring with them. They murdered me on a show, and it did not feel good when a 300+ pound man just picks you up and just freaking drops you on your head in the middle of the ring, and you've got a niece and nephew that are like 5 and 6 years old, and they're watching, and they had no idea. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm halfway up, and I'm like, what is happening right now? So they're on a personal level, they're really, really great guys. On a professional level, they will knock you out, like legit, if they don't like the cut of your jib. So it's always fun having them on the show. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, they were really fun. But he was with the Bike Club at Summerfest, and that was my first match watching him, and definitely can see that the dude has a lot of intensity and why he kind of has the stature that he does of in the local area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's easy to work with. And it's been my experience that people who are easy to work with are the ones that you see everywhere because you want to work with good people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we see a lot of the guys like going around, for different promotions and stuff, and then like we seen that was the first time that we saw Jaya Jewel, I think, or Liam might have seen him before, but that was my first time seeing him. and then we went to the TWF Summerfest, and he was there. It's cool to see that. Like Liam has the saying about high tides raise all ships. When
100%.
when wrestlers are easy to work with, like you were saying, like it shows a lot about them, and then it shows a lot about like their commitment
their
to
interest.
and bringing good shows to people.
Yeah.
And it speaks also, I mean, aside from the level of professionalism, it speaks to the people that train them. It speaks to to who they are as not just characters, but as individuals on a personal level. Every single person that's on that show, if you come to a Fighting Spirit show, every single person on that show is contributing something of value to that roster.
Mhm.
Like, we don't just have people that we just throw in there and be like, oh, hey, here you go. We don't do that. They're vetted, and they're like legitimately like some of the best wrestlers in California on the West Coast today. And I'm not saying that to disparage other wrestlers, because the hardest part about being a promoter is there's so much great talent in California right now and on the West Coast. It's hard to pick. Like, there are times when I'm like, damn, dude, I wish I could do a show with 20 matches, but number one, I can't afford it. But number two, you don't want to kill your crowd. So we have to be very careful on what we book. And that Jaya match with Jaya and Sin match, I mean, it did a lot aside from what we had originally intended to lift the audience back up. And I know we'll get into the technical difficulties or whatever, but my thing about those matches is that I want every single match on our card to be, if you walked in and that was the last match you saw or the only match you saw on the card, I want you to say, wow, that was worth the price of admission. I really enjoyed that. I want to come back. And so as our card progresses, like even our student showcase with Big Ugly students from the Ugly Dojo was a great match. You know what I mean? So like you just keep building up, and I have all the confidence in the world, not just with the talent, but the trainers in the area. If you're a wrestling fan and you want to get trained and you live in like the Sacramento area, go to Ugly Dojo and get trained. He'll teach you the right way. If you're in the Bay Area, go to West Coast Pro. If you're in Southern California, go to Santino Brothers. And at the same time, don't just come to a Fighting Spirit show. Go check out the local shows. Go check out TWF. Go check out Ugly Dojo. Go check out Supreme Pro Wrestling. Go check out CWA. Go check out Santino Brothers in SoCal. Like, make an effort to go and see these guys, because a lot of these guys that you're seeing now are going to be in WWE or in AEW or in ROH or in Japan. I mean, Jaya just came back from Japan. I'll go back to the whole
Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae was somebody who I had been promoting since she was a teenager. And she just had that like feel to her that she has, first of all, she's balls of steel. Like, she's just like one of the most daring, I guess is the right word to say, I don't know, female wrestlers that I've ever had the pleasure of dealing with. And now look at
national stage. Why? Because she was easy to work with. She had a really great head on the business, but she was also a tremendous talent. And so when we bring people into Fighting Spirit, we're very fortunate to have the people that we are. I mean, Chris Nasty is like, I swear to God, this guy reminds me of Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
You've got, you know what I mean? If you've been in an UGWA show, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was who I actually got signed or got his signature. Like his match with Jordan Cruz is really impressive.
Yeah, Jordan Cruz is what I was going to talk. I'm literally about to say. If you've been in an UGWA show, their champion, Jordan Cruz, tremendous talent. That guy, I could see. What is that Marvel movie where they're like, oh, or it's Batman and Joker. We can do this forever. Jordan Cruz and Chris Nasty, can you put them on a card wrestling and they're going to tear the house down? What did you see on an FSP show? Chris Nasty, Jordan Cruz. What did they do? They tore the house down. Right? Alpha Zoe has a tour of Japan under his belt. He's starting to make his way around the Pacific Northwest. He is just a phenomenal athlete to watch live. You've got Big Money Ish, a young guy, a hungry guy. If you ever get the chance, ask him what his real name is. You will never guess his real name in a million years. Okay, so just ask him, what's your real name? And when he tells you, you're gonna flip out. You're like, what? I promise you, it's amazing.
Okay. I'm gonna have to find out.
And then on the reverse side, you've got great tag teams like the Golden Era. You've got tag teams like the Honor Society. You've got like all this great talent in this area that, look, you may not always see them at an FSP show. You've got to go out and support them at like the CWA shows. I know that Jason Hastings has been on your show. He does a great job. You got TWF guys in, literally they're everywhere. Go there and support them. But and if you got a couple bucks, come to our show. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, we came out to the Reborn show, and I know that was your guys' first show in 8 years. I think it was, if I remember correctly.
It had been quite a minute.
But yeah, there were like a lot of technical difficulties that we spoke about on the episode, and I'm sure there was, I guess production rust, or just from a guy that does production, I totally understand, because it's just like, if it's not one thing, it's another.
Well, we had a meeting before the show, and we said, how can we ruin the vibe as fast as possible? And we said, how about we turn off the internet and we put all of our music on Dropbox and watch as the audience sits in awkward silence. And that was just a genius idea. Now, what had happened is we had hired our DJ, and the DJ is a great guy, big fan of wrestling. And we had told him, hey, look, we got all this music, and it's going to be on Dropbox. Well, we didn't get into the building until later in the afternoon, later than normal. And so the DJ set up. He was running a little behind. And when he went to go and get all the music, he realized that Atwater is a one-horse town without a horse, and they have like no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he
was literally like, oh no, what do I do? So he was trying to download the music, and which drives me insane, because I have this thing where I have this Dropbox folder where literally it says like pre-show, post-show, intermission. Like, I've already got all the music picked out. You literally just have to push play. And I think it's always bad when you walk into a place and it's dead quiet, because unless it's church or funeral, quiet means awkward. And so, like, even if you go to a hospital, they've got music playing. Like, it's just, there's always noise. And so when I got the word, I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. And then it was, first match is over, second match is over, still no music. I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So that was our fault. We fixed it. Essentially what we've done is we've uploaded everything to a portable drive, so that won't happen again. So the music situation is going to be fine. And as far as the announcer goes, Chris, God love him, is a sweetheart of a gentleman. And he's our director of operations. So he's the guy that says, hey, you put the chair here. You make sure that the catering is here, or the concessions are ready to go, and the doors are manned and whatever. Chris is not a ring announcer. We had a ring announcer, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but he did message us and say, hey, look, I can't make it. Okay, no problem. But we didn't have time to find another ring announcer. And so Chris, with the stupidest hat I've ever seen in my life, and I will give that man shit for that hat for the rest of his life, decided to get in the middle of the ring and be the ring announcer. But what he forgot is that when there's no music and everyone is staring at you, you better be funny or be able to tell a really, really good story. And he tried his best, and I love him for it, but we've got a new ring announcer. So we don't have to worry about that again.
Well, honestly, knowing that, I'll give my tip of the hat to Chris for rallying forth with
trying,
like not not to say for a lack of effort or anything.
He is a tremendous guy, and he has a lot going on in his non-wrestling life. And so the fact that he takes time to come out and like he really, really cares about putting on a quality show. He actually got to start working for TNA back when they started. So he was like in the, like, not like, oh, he was just hung around. No, he was in the office at TNA. Like he's got some great stories if you ever get a chance to talk to him about it. But yeah, he had the world on his shoulders, and he still said, you know what? No, I got this. I can do this. And he tried his best, and it was good, but it wasn't to the standard. And he'll be the first to tell you this. It wasn't to the standard that he liked. It wasn't to the standard that the fans needed. And so he has graciously volunteered to never do it again.
I aside from all that, I think like not I wouldn't say halfway through, maybe like quarter of the way through, like that all that stuff happened. And granted, shit happens, right? It's but it did find its grace and momentum, like going in, like after a while, it just kind of all flew together, and like that stuff didn't really matter anymore, I guess, in a certain sense. And I was able to have a good time. Liam was able to have a good time, and we're just fans of wrestling. And
I at least I know for us, like, we just want to, see it all do well, like, especially in the local, because, like, we know that all these dudes are putting on a lot of work, like in the ring and out of the ring. Like, out of the ring's like a whole other, side of the beast. So it's like,
No, yeah, look, wrestling on the independent level is a grind, and these guys get out there and they're driving 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. At one time we had a guy drive all the way from Indiana to an Atwater show on a Tuesday. But the love of wrestling is what keeps people moving forward. So like, I got a lot of messages like, "Hey man, I'm sorry about the DJ stuff, but you know what? It was a great show regardless, and the fans seem to enjoy it." And it's like, that's really nice. I appreciate you saying that. That's very nice of you. And that's from the wrestlers. Yeah. But the person that I'm the most concerned about isn't the podcast. It isn't the dirt sheets. It isn't even the wrestlers, because the wrestlers are strong individuals that they can always find another place to go and to work and to forget about the music issues. It's the fan that this was their first show, and they've never been to an independent show. And it's the first time seeing a live wrestling event, which is one of the reasons why we do the whole sponsor seat thing. Yeah. You've got kids in the community that cannot afford a ticket to a wrestling show. And if I could do shows for free, I absolutely 100% would. If I could find a sponsor out there that's like, dude, I will give you X amount of dollars to put on a show. Dude, tickets are on the house. Come on out, have a good time. And so a way to offset that is we do that whole sponsor seat program where somebody buys the pay-per-view or wants to buy an extra ticket. We give it to a kid at the Boys and Girls Club or at a group home. And there was a lot of them there. And that to me means the world. So when we have issues like that, it's like, dude, I really hope that this didn't ruin the night for them. But I will say, a lot of boys got pictures with Fallen Gray. They were happy. A lot of kids got to see their first body slam. They were happy. So I think it evened out in the end. And, we learned a really good lesson. And I think unless you're an arrogant person, every show is a learning experience. Every show is an opportunity to make adjustments and to perfect the product. So that way, when the next show comes around, people are excited and they say, boy, I can't wait to see what they do next time. And that's what we've got planned. So.
Yeah, and definitely speaking of what you got planned next time, the recent announcement that you made was definitely a pretty big one. You want to divulge on that one a little bit?
Yeah, so we got Joe Hendry coming on October the 19th. This is the first time he's ever been to California. We're very excited about that.
That's the first time he's ever been to California?
Ever, as far as I know.
That's pretty
according to his agent.
I don't mean to. I lived in Atwater for like 4 years.
I didn't know what you were going to say. Go ahead.
Oh no, I hope he has a good time.
Yeah. Well, we're sending him out as soon as the show's over, so he probably won't have much of a time to have a good time. But really, he might have it over to the apple tree or the almond tree.
Oh, the almond tree, yeah, the bar and the restaurant. Yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, head on over there, have a nice little meal. But yeah, so this is the first time he's ever been to California. The dude is legitimately from Scotland. He'll be coming from, I think the itinerary I got was like he's coming from Scotland to Florida. He'll be in Florida for like a day, and then he's flying from Florida to the Fresno airport, which is what a bop. And then from there, he'll be making his way to the Atwater Community Center, and he'll be a part of FSP history. And so that's kind of cool. And this also opens up inroads with other companies like TNA, like WWE, like other independent organizations. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I am willing to work with anyone that wants to work with us. I'm not one of those people. Granted, I used to be. I'll be completely honest. I used to be like this. And it's so foolish. I'm not one of those people that is out to take over the world. You know, when you're young and stupid, you think the world's your oyster. And then you get older and you realize it's easier to work together than it is to work alone.
Yep.
And so I've already been approached by other promotions like, hey, how'd you get Joe Hendry? Like what is going on? How did you pull this off? And my simple reply is I just make relationships with people, and we were able to get this opportunity. And it's by the grace of God that it came our way. It could have been anybody else. We're not like super special or anything like that. But we're really excited to have him. And I think the fans are going to be really excited to see a guy that they're seeing every week on TNA TV, on NXT, literally right in front of them, be able to ask him questions, get his autograph, get a picture, and see him live and in person. It's crazy to think that for all intents and purposes, we have a guy on WWE TV every week at an independent wrestling show. That never happens. So we're pretty pumped about that.
I told my friend when you guys posted the announcement, and within like he didn't even message me back. I just seen his comment on your page, like I'll be there. Like it was that quick. Didn't even say, hey, do you want to go with me or like what? He's like, I'm fucking going.
No, the response has been insane. We put this. We made the announcement on a Monday. We put the tickets up, and the pre-sales for this show have already surpassed the last show. We're already en route to a sellout, and I'm not a fool. The economy is what it is. Atwater is not the most what do you call it? Economically, like it's not a big city, so it's harder to get a couple bucks together to go to a show. And because times are tough, people are going to wait till it gets closer to the show. But I'm telling you, if you're listening to the podcast, you cannot wait until the day of, because there won't be tickets. It's not going to happen. The pre-sales for his meet and greet are going through the roof. The pre-sales for the tickets, like front row, is almost completely sold out. You got to remember, we're like 55 days away from the show. We're an independent wrestling organization in Atwater. This isn't San Francisco. This isn't Sacramento. This is the one horse town without a horse. And we're going to sell this show out. I saw the same thing happen when we had Matt Hardy on our show back in the day when he wrestled Brian Cage for the championship. We sold out. Like the Atwater Community Center got pissed off at us because they're like, there was way too many people here. And we're like, oh, sorry about that. Oops. Like, oh, well. And that's exactly what's going to happen this time. So if you have the desire to come, I highly encourage you to get your ticket to fightingspiritpro.com. And let me go over the card just a little bit, so this isn't just about Joe Hendry, because this is really about the guys that are on the show day in and day out. It's the main event is going to be insane. The main event is Chris Nasty, Ishmael Vaughn, Alpha Zoe, and a mystery person. I'll leave it to you guys to decide who that might be for the FSP Heavyweight Championship. We've got the semifinals for the Tag Team Championship with the Golden Era. I'm sorry, they won the last time. They advanced with the Krusty Crew from Southern California. Lucas Riley and his tag team partner, Dominic. Insane. These guys are amazing. They come out to Dancing Queen by ABBA. I mean, how can you not love them? And then you've got the Rico Bros, who remind me of a young Bucks. So they're like the younger Bucks, I guess is what you'd call them. They're coming up. They're going to be coming up from Bakersfield to work. They've never worked in our area as far as I know. We've got Maney, who was in the pre-show student showcase, who did a fantastic job. She's going to be wrestling. She'll be wrestling. Well, I won't say until we officially announce it. Another female. We've got the Lucha Libre Spectacular is what we're calling it, where El Arcangel Divino will take on El Maldito. These two guys are in AAA, one of the biggest Mexican wrestling promotions, and they will literally melt your face off with what they can do. I am so excited. Like literally every match I just announced, and we've got like 3-4 more matches to announce. So we're kind of slow walking this. We want people to get excited. That match alone, actually any match that I just mentioned alone, will be worth the price of admission. And so tickets start at $20. Go online and get your tickets. And by the way, if you're a wrestler and you're listening to this, and damn, we're going along. I'm sorry. But if you're a wrestler and you're listening to this, and you want an opportunity to work in Fighting Spirit Pro, or you just want to make some money, then we want you to participate in Secret Wars. And so contact us on Instagram at FSP Reborn, and we will tell you all the details. But essentially, it is going to be an underground wrestling TV show that will only be available to fans who subscribe to our on-demand channel. Oops, let that slip. Sorry about that. And it will feature wrestlers from around the world. We've already got a guy from France. We've got some people from Japan. And essentially, it's like an underground tournament, kind of like how Mortal Kombat back in the 90s, to bring talent in. And here's the cool part about this, and I don't think you'll ever hear anyone talk about this. If you participate in this, you get revenue share. What? Yeah. So we've set up a system, and podcast, if you want to participate in this too, let me know. We've set up an affiliate system for our on-demand content moving forward, that if you come and you help promote our products and you get a sale, quote unquote, a sale, if someone subscribes to our on-demand, like the WWE network, right? Let's say you sent somebody to the WWE network and they subscribed. Well, every month that they keep their subscription, you get a cut of what they subscribed for. So our on-demand program is going to be like $20. We give 50% of every subscription you send our way. So there are wrestlers out there that have tens of thousands of fans. If they get, say, 100 fans to subscribe to our service, that's $1,000 a month that they're making just participating in Secret Wars. It's really exciting stuff that we're doing, and we're really trying to market to the casual wrestling fan, but also to the hardcore wrestling fan. So the in-person shows are one thing, the Secret Wars are another, and then we've also got some other stuff in the works for 2025. We're excited. Like this is a fun time.
Can I throw out a word that I know?
Yeah, go ahead.
Would that be called passive income?
It would be called passive income, multiple streams of income. Imagine wrestling one match and getting paid for it for the rest of your life. Isn't that amazing?
Spike Dudley's really good at money. That's how I learned that, passive income.
You need assets.
I'm assets, passive income. JBL wrote a book about stock investing. I was a mark and I read it and I was like, holy shit, he's right. Now I got a pretty decent portfolio. Yeah.
I would totally read that book. Yeah.
After I figure, I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, I could find it. I bet you it's on Amazon or eBay or something, maybe.
Probably.
It's called Have More Money Now by John Layfield.
Have more money now.
I like it. I like money, and I like now.
I like immediate money.
I have a. Will we possibly see Fallon Gray again?
I mean, she's our women's champion, I would hope.
Yeah, the Radiance champion.
Yeah. That's another thing. You know why it's called the Radiance Championship, right?
Why is that?
Because we're starting a women's program. So, remember Shimmer? Did you guys ever hear of a company called Shimmer?
Not familiar.
Okay. So there are all women's promotions back in the day. There was a company called Shimmer, which was like the Ring of Honor for women's wrestling.
Okay.
There's another company called, and they're doing it in Vegas. It's called Women of Wrestling. So in 2025, we're going to do an all women's promotion, and the company is going to be called Radiance. And so we had to have a champion going into it. So it's like a dual thing. She'll be the champion of our company, Fighting Spirit, but it'll also carry over to another company called Radiance.
Oh, very
cool. We're making moves.
Okay, I gotcha.
I like that.
But yes, Fallon Gray will be there. You missed it. She was at a Comic-Con the other day dressed like Wonder Woman working a match. So.
I seen it on Instagram. Big fan.
Yeah,
you definitely had the schoolboy crush with her.
I still do.
It ain't going anywhere.
She's legitimately one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
First impression, I thought she would be mean, but she was very, very nice and accommodating.
Yeah, we're trying to get over as a heel. It's not working.
Yeah.
Everybody likes her.
Yeah, she's super nice. Like, took time to take pictures with everybody, sign little kids' autographs and stuff. That's what it's all about. That's the cool stuff.
I laughed because on the way home from the match, I called her and I was like, you're supposed to be a bad guy, right? Like, yeah. I was like, you're supposed to sell like a lot of merch and be a merch mover if you're a bad guy. I think she likes selling merch. I think we might just have to turn her face. But she's a tremendous talent.
Yes.
That's another like the I foresee her in AEW or Japan probably in the next 2 or 3 years. She's got the talent. She has the connection.
How long has she been wrestling?
Not even a year.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy, right?
So that speaks. Okay, yeah, that speaks a lot then.
Yeah, she's dependable. So like, yeah, she'll be participating in Secret Wars. So if you want to watch some behind the scenes and some matches you won't be able to see, you're gonna want to subscribe. Yeah, there.
Liam, your mic is not working.
No.
There it goes.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry for the technical difficulties. So, for those that want to subscribe, where would they subscribe to the service for Fighting Spirit?
So we'll make the official announcement in the next couple days with a unique link that people can go to. And
Okay.
We're currently filming some of the matches right now, like as we speak. And so once those are edited and ready to go, then we'll put up a teaser with a website and you guys can go there and subscribe. And if you're a person that wants to do affiliates, you just send us a message. We'll hook you up.
Sounds sick. Yeah. Anybody listening, go check that out if you're interested. That actually sounds like some pretty dope stuff on the horizon for you guys.
Yeah, we're just trying to do fun stuff. Like
I was
again,
gonna say,
like I said,
thinking outside of the box a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, I'm kind of I love professional wrestling, the sport of it, but my passion is really the business end of it. So I'm constantly thinking of ways that we can not only just expand our audience, but also give wrestlers more
Value.
of an opportunity to not only just make money, but also to kind of, get their name out there. Like, one of the reasons why I found out about Fallen Gray and got her on our card was because I watched a promo that she did, and I was like, "Holy crap, this girl's got it!" Like, she doesn't even know that she's got it, but she's got it. But the only reason I was able to do that is because there was content, and so we're just developing content for people and putting it out there, and hopefully, if you can't make it to an FSP show, but about wrestler 1, 2, 3 or whatever. And you see him on the card at the TWF show, you go to the show and you say, "Hey, I saw you on an FSP thing, and man, it's so cool to see you live." And again, I want to stress this as much as I possibly can. I encourage each and every person to go out and support a wrestling promotion. It doesn't have to be FSP. Go out there, give them your money. Let the promoters know that that you support what they're doing, because not everybody has a billionaire dad that has that owns a major soccer and football franchise. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you just don't have that.
No, it's,
So.
No, I tell Liam and just people that ask us about the show and stuff, going to pro wrestling shows, especially an independent wrestling show, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna it's more intimate. It feels like seeing like the Rolling Stones playing like a dive bar,
like at CBGBs before they blow up.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
You get that little 2 minutes after the show, like, "Hey, good match, here's an autograph," or whatever. You don't get that at like an AEW show or a WWE show. It's a more, like I said, intimate.
It's more personal.
Yeah, it's a more intimate experience. And here's the cool thing. You develop relationships with these guys. Like, you may not know this, but a lot of these guys are going to remember you when they're making it big. They're going to remember you sitting front row at the TWF show when they were just starting out.
Yeah.
You form these bonds, and even if they don't remember, you can always look back and say, "Yeah, I remember when insert memory here. I can remember when I went to a show and there was only 20 people in the crowd, but man, that guy gave it all, and it's so cool to see him in the big leagues." And then from a purely business point of view, if you've got his autograph and he's the next John Cena, well, maybe you're sitting on a retirement account you didn't know existed. So it's always good to get in on the ground level.
Yeah. No, and like the one of the things that I do appreciate about people on the indie scene is like you're watching them on their grind. So it's like the thing that's like it's nothing but passion that's pushing them at this point and like the want to achieve that goal. So it's like you're watching them put in 110% to get where they want to be because, it's like obviously, when you make it to the WWE, you are, you have that incentive financially to do it and you're already kind of at the top of the mountain. But I don't know, like you said, you're getting on the ground level of that. And to watch that is unreal.
It's a privilege. It's like going to a Major League Baseball team and seeing a guy that you watched play in the minors and thinking, oh my God, I remember him, and seeing how far they've come. Another thing that independent wrestling does that, say, the WWE doesn't do, AEW might do, but doesn't do as well, is the way that I book my shows. It's a different way than what AEW or WWE does. In WWE, they come to the wrestler, they say, this is what you're doing. This is the finish. This is what I want you to do halfway through the match. This is what I want you to say on the microphone. This is what, like, case in point, Golden Era comes out because the music is messed up. They get on the mic, they burn the building down with a killer promo. Do you know what we told them to say?
What's that?
Nothing. They just grab the mic and cut a promo. That's independent wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like, independent wrestling is filling in the negatives with the positives. It's like extrapolating those amazing gifts that these guys have so that the world can see. Alpha Zoe is one of the most, in my opinion, technically sound wrestlers on the independent scene today. And that guy can go out there and have a match with a broom and make that broom look like a 5-star athlete. But when he gets to WWE, he's going to have to switch his style up because guess what? They've got a certain style they've got to go. So you won't see the same Alpha Zoe on the indies that you would see in the WWE. And the reverse is true. The reverse is true. You got a guy coming from WWE going into the indies. Dude, that guy's going to burn the barn down because he's free to do what he wants to do. And that's the environment that we have at FSP. I've told people this before. Here's your canvas. Here's your paintbrush. Go paint me a picture. Give these people a reason to want to come back and see you next time. And I've never had an instance where I was like, damn, dude, I really wish I wouldn't given that guy a paintbrush. Because if you're on the card, there's a certain level of trust and respect, and you've earned your spot. You didn't just get a spot because you knew somebody. You know what I mean? And so I cannot say enough good things about every single person that we had on the shows, that we have behind the scenes. Like, case in point, Big Ugly JD Bishop runs the Ugly Dojo. He was running the back. You had guys that were coaching talent, like helping with the matches. Like, that's a cooperative effort that you're not going to get in the major leagues. The major leagues is completely different. It's segmented. It's regimented. It's hit your marks, be here, be there, be whatever. But here at FSP and at SPW and, Ugly Dojo, TWF, CWA, it's more free. So you come to an independent wrestling show, you're going to see what's really on their heart, what's really in their mind. And some things are going to work and some things aren't going to work, but you're going to know that what they're doing is what they want to do. And that shines through in the matches. And that's what makes me excited about indie wrestling.
Shit, you're making me excited even more just by the way you're talking about it.
And in the community of, like, especially with what happened with Daniel Torch, like, here's the whole wrestling community coming together.
Yeah, to back him
for that kid. Like, that's awesome.
Torch is probably one of my favorite people in the world. And I absolutely love that guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. He was, when we started FSB the first time, he was there putting the ring together. He was there doing the DJ stuff. He had actually had an injury, but he was still out there helping us. And he had his return match to wrestling after a really major injury against a guy by the name of Marcus Lewis. And they tore the house down. His sister was there. His family was there. It was a great night. Torch is the sad thing about Torch is that he hasn't been signed to a major wrestling company because they would benefit from it. That maybe they're like, oh, he's a great wrestler, but we've got great wrestlers. Dude, have him in the back, have him in the locker room for 10 minutes, and it becomes an exponentially better place. He's hilarious, and he does this thing where he calls torching, essentially where he'll steal people's gear when they're not paying attention and wear it around. It's hilarious. And he'll take pictures with it, like, oh, you got torched. So you can see why when this tragedy happened, the wrestling community, essentially gathered around him in a giant hug and was like, hey, we're here for you.
Yeah.
He deserved it. He absolutely deserves it. Torch deserves way more than what he's received. And I'll be the first to admit, I didn't know how good of a guy I had when I first worked with him. And it's only looking back and realizing, oh my God, this guy is an amazing individual. So I wish nothing but the best for him. And I hope to see him in FSP again, because he really is an asset to whatever company he works for.
He's always fun to watch with the TWF, the one match that because TWF was like my first introduction into the like local wrestling indie scene.
Yeah.
But that match that he did with CJ Dirt recently at the Stockton Street Fight at the Stockton Slugfest. Yeah, that was like the dude works really well, and especially for as long. I don't know exactly how long he's been around, but I know he's been around for a good while.
Been around for a long time, yeah.
He came to a show I was promoting in 2006 when I had Samoa Joe versus Adam Thornstowe as the main event, and he was in the crowd. And he came up to me, and he's this really tiny guy, and he goes, I want to be a wrestler. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, good luck with that. And then, like, 10 years later, I run into him, and he's on our roster. I'm like, holy crap, you're the same guy. And I've had that happen so many times where a guy will come up to me and be like, oh, Joe, I want to be a wrestler. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then, like, I go to a show, and I see him. I'm like, hey, you're that guy. Like, it's really cool. But I think he's been wrestling since, like, 2006, 2007.
Okay.
And he's like I said, he looks like he's 20 years old, but he works so smooth, and he's so over with the fans, and he's such a great guy. Like, he really is. Like, I'm hard pressed to think of anyone in wrestling that I have a bad thing to say about or that I wouldn't work with. But he's definitely at the top of the list of somebody that I would like. That if I had money to hand out contracts, he would be one of the first people that I would give one to.
Speaking pretty highly of him.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say a bad word about him.
Yeah, same. Like,
Yeah.
like shit. Even Freeman, like he's like, he's like, I really like the kid. He's kind of weird, but I still really like him for his weirdness. Like,
Yeah, he also doesn't swear, which is hilarious. So, like, you'll be around him, and then you'll be like, damn it. And then you look at him, and you're like, sorry, dude. It's just like, he's such a sweet, awesome person. And so,
Gosh dang it. Yeah.
dang.
yeah, he's like, what the heck? And you're just like, oh, Torch.
Son of a biscuit.
Oh shit.
Nah, but yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. Like I said, I've had the pleasure of working with plenty of really great people, and a great locker room is something that a promoter dreams of. And I've been fortunate to have great locker rooms to call upon.
So, in your years of putting together fighting spirit shows, what would you say is the one that resonates or sticks out to you the most?
It's hard to choose because there's so many great memories. We've had shows where, like, I'm not the best promoter in the world. I've made mistakes, and I've had some really great people giving me advice, and I've had some really great matches on our cards. I mean, I can go down the list of experiences and whatever, and it's hard to just point to one. I remember one show we had. We call it, the Royal Rumble has always been my favorite pay-per-view of the year. I always, growing up as a kid, Royal Rumble was it. When Ric Flair went the distance and won the title, and you got Bobby Heenan on the mic, just losing his mind with Gorilla Monsoon, like, that to me was when I really fell in love with wrestling. So sometimes when I get sad, I know this sounds weird, but I'll turn on the 92, was it 92 or 93 Royal Rumble and watch it straight through, because it's just like, that's your childhood. So we started this thing called the Survive and Conquer Rumble. And we had just so many great talent. We had Candice LeRae, we had Drake Younger. We just had like this amazing plethora of people coming out. And there was a spot where this guy in SoCal, his name's Eli Everfly. He had just started, and I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Sin. He picks Eli up, puts him over his head, and then he Bam Bam Bigelow throws him into the crowd. And they caught him, and they crowd surfed him back to the ring, so his feet never touched the ground, right? So that was cool because the fans are really into it. Another memory would probably be San Antonio Vargas having a wrestling match. And if you went to the community center, you see this big steel door that's like in the back. There's like a big steel door in caddy corner in the back.
Is that where they had all the chairs?
Yeah, that's the roll-up door, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who had the misfortune, but somebody got thrown head first into that door, and it made this huge dent in the door. Like huge, like body-size, cartoony imprint in the side of the door. And after the show, I just went up to Sin. I was like, dude, what am I supposed to do? He goes, I got you, dog. And he goes on the other side. And he just kicks the door, and it pops like nothing had happened. And I was just like, all right, that's a good dude right there. I was so scared that we were going to lose the venue. Let's see. I mean, we had one show where we had a little kid jump in the middle of the ring during a match, and the heel put him in a Boston crab. It was amazing. We've had instances where we've had fans literally, like, I'm one of those people that I love story. You can have a 5-star match and that's great, but if you got a really good story, that will keep them coming back. And we have this one fan, and I don't want to say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he gets into it. And something had happened, and I can't remember what. No, it was the kid getting the Boston crab. That's what it was. The main heel had put him into a Boston crab, and this guy got so angry he picked up his chair and he threw it on the ground, and he stormed out of the building and didn't come back for the rest of the night. He was so angry that the bad guy had done this that he literally paid for a ticket, was like maybe a third of the way into the show. And I remember him going onto Facebook that night going, I'm never coming back. I can't believe they would let something like this happen. And he was there the next show. But like stuff like that, when you get them, when you pop the crowd, things like that, that means the world to me because it means that what you're doing is working. They're suspending disbelief. They're getting emotionally invested in your product. And when you do that, they come back because they want to see what happens.
Yeah, that's definitely it's an enticing thing.
That was that big Sin and Jaya Jewel match for me when it like spilled out into the crowd, like literally right in front of us. I was fucking so happy.
So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. I want to read the memo that I sent everyone prior to the event. Okay, so like because this just kind of shows you what the relationship I have with Sin, because I love that dude. Like he's the reason, honestly, he is the reason why we had the show. It was his post on Facebook where he was like,
he missed in Atwater. He missed the shows in Atwater or something. He said,
"Yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking up for the thing, but yeah, he had missed the shows in Atwater, and we're coming back." And I was like, you know what? We'll just do like a quick, hey, remember us? Like, glad to be back, kind of thing. And then just from there, it evolved and evolved and evolved. But I sent out this memo to everybody, and essentially, I'm trying to find it. But essentially what it said was, this is a family event, so no F-bombs. Also, stay out of the crowd. Like, don't go in the crowd, right? So I'm watching the match, and I see Sin, and you just see this look on his face, and I'm like, damn it. They're going into the crowd. And so, of course, what do you know? Like, of course they're gonna go. Yeah, here it is. A couple of things. Yes, if you got them, let them know. Let me know ahead of time. We want to make sure there are seats available for them. This is a government-ran facility. This means no smoking, drinking, illicit subjects. They have hosted before and are very strict when it comes to certain things. Stay out of the crowd, please. We don't have guardrails, so it's going to be very important that we keep the safety of the crowd in mind. Also, the chairs, tables, etc., are all government property. Please don't use them. They will shut us down. And what did he do? Goes to the crowd, uses the chairs. Like, I'm sure he was searching for a table to put Johnny through. Like, it's just like, I keep telling him, this is why we can't have nice things, man. What are you doing?
I feel that.
I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but this is the shot that I got.
Oh, nice. Send that to me. I'll put that on our Facebook page.
Yeah, I could
Dude.
send it. Yeah,
That picture is just so good.
it's hard to see.
Steve, were you the one with the mask on?
Huh?
Were you the
No.
one with the mask on?
No, that
Who was that?
That's totally somebody else.
That's some piece of shit wrestler named Camacho Verde. I
This
don't call him.
dude-
I don't
he
call him a piece of
messages
shit.
me-
Liam hates him.
Well, because he's asking for $450 for fucking wrestle Barry Horowitz.
He has to keep working, Liam.
Well, shouldn't the promoter pay him?
Huh?
That's
I
not
feel
my
like I walked into a storyline here that I'm unfamiliar with. I love it.
I don't know if it's
That's
a
great.
storyline. It's more of a reality that Liam puts this. Like Liam tried to have this guy come on the show and fill in for me because I was sick one day, and so we called lonely co-host match.com and found Camacho Verde was available, and he comes on the he comes on the show, does a great job. The numbers are up, the ratings are up, the views go up. He comes on there and then Liam doesn't pay the dude, and
he wanted 2 joints. He said he had a writer. He wanted to know what the trim situation was like. And
Gotcha.
I'm like, dude, we're literally just shooting an episode in my house. Like, I'll give you 2 joints. I'm not gonna adhere to your writer.
Speaking of writers, I'll tell you a funny story about Vader if you want to hear it.
yeah.
So we had booked Vader for a show in Merced to come out, and he has family, or had family, rest in peace, that were based in the Merced area, which is crazy to think his mom lives out there.
Really?
And so she came to the show to see her little baby boy rolling around in the wrestling ring.
See my little Vader?
Yeah.
That's so sick.
He was so cool. Like, he was so cool. But he calls me up the night before the show, and he would call me, like, I love the guy, but he would call me like 4 or 5 times a day for weeks. Like, hey, man, I had this idea. Hey, man, I had this idea. And we had talked for like maybe 5 seconds, like really nothing. But he, like, because his mom lived out there, he kind of wanted to open up a wrestling school in the area, and he wanted to call it Vader's Dojo or something like that. He would license the name, and we could have a wrestling school that was ran by Vader. When I thought, oh my God, that would be amazing. But the night before the show, he calls me up and he goes, hey, JP, I'm just wondering, brother, you think you can arrange a massage for me? And I was like, what? A what? He goes, a massage. I'm like, what do you mean a massage? He's like, when you get a girl come to, I was like, dude, what? Like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I saw you on Boy Meets World. What are you doing to me, man? Like, don't put me in this position. But no, he was really great to work with. He was such a sweet guy. And I remember I called him a couple of days before he passed away to check on him, just to see how he was doing. And he answered. He was very gracious. And I do miss him. I mean, it sucks. Like, in the moment when he's calling you like every 5 minutes, it's like, Vader. Like, you're like, oh my God, I'm telling somebody that I grew up watching on TV, please, I'm in the middle of work, man. I can't answer the phone every 5 minutes. He was so cool. And he was even like, oh man, you know what? I want to come out there because I want to see my mom. So like, I'll help with the flight. I was like, what? You're gonna help with the flight? He's like, oh yeah, I got like 1,000,000 miles. I'll upgrade myself to first class. You just got to get me economy. And it was really cool of him to do things like that. Like, you don't really hear about wrestlers from the big leagues from back in the day doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was a sweetheart. And then I've got stories about other people. I won't get into that because I don't want to talk negative, but like, where you're just like, oh, I can see why you weren't around for very long. So there's just people in this business that, if they're good and they're happy and they're easy to work with, they're going to continue. Biggest example, AJ Kirsch. AJ Kirsch is the coolest dude in the world, and to see what he's pulled off and is able to do is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. He's like best friends with The Rock. Like, a dude from NorCal is like best friends with The Rock. How can you hate that?
It's been a fun episode. been
it's been a long episode, man. I'm sorry I talked your ears off.
No, like normally we'll do like hour, 2 hours. Like I think normally most of the interviews that we've done thus far are like normally closer to 2 hours. So like yeah, like you're good, dude. Like that's cool that you've had like a lot of experiences that you're able to share like that and that are very more intimate behind the scenes with them as people outside of, you know, as the real person. Like, you know, with Vader, that's pretty sick. And then same thing with Candice LeRae. I know I haven't seen any of her work. I've never seen any of her work when she was in the indies, because her rise was kind of during the time where I stepped away from wrestling, but like just knowing what I've heard, just kind of like getting back into it and knowing that she does kind of have that what would you call it? Just like that that credibility,
the pedigree.
Like, yeah, the pedigree.
She does.
That's really cool to hear that. Like,
it's crazy because like she started. First time I ever met her was in 2006 in Lodi. I was the first person to bring her up to wrestle in NorCal, and she was wrestling under this gimmick where she was like from Canada. So she came to the ring and she had like a Canadian maple leaf on her shirt, and she was known as the Canadian Goddess, Candice LeRae. I got to talking to her, and I was just like, "So where'd you train?" And she had trained with a guy by the name of Jesse Hernandez down in Southern California at the Empire Wrestling Federation. He's still around, by the way. Super cool guy. Another great trainer. And Jesse had connections to like Mexico and all those other places. He was a ref for the WWF for a while, drove the ring truck, did all that other fun stuff. But she was at our show, and we had Chris Sabin on the show. And at the time, TNA was really starting to get hot. Like they had just literally just started doing the TV shows. And so I was fortunate enough to get Chris to come out and be on a show. And he comes out, and we've got this really cool setup for the Lodi American Legion Hall. And we had like smoothies at our concession stand. We had like a cabana that was like a grass hut roof and all that other stuff. And he comes, he's like, "I've never been to an indie show with smoothies before." I'm like, "Yeah, welcome." So he goes to the back, and cabana. There might have been, I don't know. But he goes to the back, and Candice LeRae like jumps on his back and puts him into a headlock. And he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" He's like freaking out. And she just whispers something in his ear, and he goes, "Oh my God." Turns out he had helped train her. So she had all these people that would come through like Southern California, whatever. Her dad bought her a wrestling ring. So she was training in her backyard and training at schools. Like everything she did was like dedicated to wrestling. She had her cousin that would get into it so she could wrestle her. And then as time went on, she just started making this name for herself. And it was so cool to see where she was starting out, Canadian Goddess Candice LeRae, to when she came to FSP and did her whole, gimmick that actually got her into the WWE. At the time, she was tag teaming with Joey Ryan before all that stuff happened. And they were making waves. She actually was the first woman in our company's history to win a male belt, which is the tag belt. And then Nicole Savoy went on to win our secondary belt. Like we had this really great chemistry in our company. And so to see her on WWE TV, to see, the inroads that she's made, it just speaks to, again, the idea that people who are easy to work with are the ones that are the most successful. And you see it over and over and over and over. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She is super nice, and she's a great cook. She's a great cook. A baker. Sorry, baker.
Ooh.
She likes to bake.
I like cookies and muffins.
For sure. She used to work at Disneyland, matter of fact.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, she went to culinary school, and her dream was to get married in Disneyland, and they made it happen.
Go Johnny.
Yeah. Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Wrestling made it happen. Shout out to him.
He achieved the impossible dream.
Oh man. So yeah, I'm like, there's quite a bit. Like it is obvious that there is a long history of Fighting Spirit Pro that we obviously had no clue about coming into this, and it's been very eye-opening, and we appreciate you elaborating and sharing these stories with us. And you know, it's been a lot of fun to hear these, and you know, especially where a lot of people come from. You know, like we were talking about Candice LeRae and Brian Cage. Just really, really exciting to see what you guys have coming forward, especially for Maximum Effort.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on and taking the time and the helpful suggestions you guys made in the last podcast. And you know, I'm very open to criticism, super open to suggestions, and I appreciate it when people who genuinely want to see other people succeed lend a helping hand or a word of advice. We'll always take in the good advice that we can get, and you know, everything's a learning experience. And I'm super thankful for the amazing roster we have and the diehard fans that we have. We've got fans that are coming to this show that are flying in from Texas. We got one coming in from Florida. We had one from Germany that ordered the pay-per-view last time, was talking about, oh man, I want to come out sometime. Like,
No, that's
we're
cool.
not going to be
cool.
the biggest. Yeah, we're not going to be the biggest promotion. We're not the next WWE. We're not the next ECW. We're not the next AEW. We're not the next anything. We're just us.
The
And
first
we want to
fighting
encourage.
spirit.
Yeah, we just want to encourage people to come out and have a good time. And if we're not in town, go and support the other wrestling promotions. Go support West Coast Pro. Go support CWA. Go support TWF. Go support the guys that are literally like Jason Hastings is a sweet guy. He's a really good dude. And he put on some great shows. He puts a lot of time and effort into what he does. He's very, very, very committed to wrestling. And I think as a wrestling fan, we owe it to him to go support his company. We owe it to guys like Mike Rain and Best of the West to go and support their company, because if they're not around, there's nothing. There's nothing. You're just going to have to wait till the WWE comes, and that sucks. So thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on. It's been a tremendous pleasure, and I hope we can do it again.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
we'd love to. Thank you for your time and appreciate you. And can't wait for the next big event.
Thanks, guys. October 19th, Atwater Community Center, fightingspiritpro.com. Get your tickets now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was a fun episode.
That's a good time.
It was a good time. Really appreciate JP coming on and talking. I know we've made we like cracked a few jokes and stuff like that and brought up the negative things about like what happened in our review episode, I guess you would call it. But you know, at least like I know you and you know me, so sometimes we could probably come off a little bit. I don't know if brash is the right word.
Harsh,
yes, but it's like it's always in good fun.
yes.
Like we genuinely do care about like watching everybody succeed. Like we both understand the dedication and passion like behind all this stuff, and we want to help elevate it. So we appreciate JP coming on and talking about it. And you know, it's one of those things you don't even know it's happening, like going on behind the scenes, you know. So appreciate him coming on and giving a little bit of the BTS, if you will, and kind of talking about the Secret Wars. That Secret Wars actually sounds really interesting.
That's a cool idea. I really like that.
Yeah, so excited to see where that goes.
Excited to see Fallon Gray again too.
Yeah, gonna have to
more than Joe Hendry.
that says something.
She's good. She's talented. I really do like her.
Hell yeah. Well, if you guys are in the area or if you guys want to get the pay-per-view for Maximum Effort, it was October 19th, I believe he said.
I think so, yes.
But yeah, fightingspiritpro.com, you can get the pay-per-view on there. Or if you're local, go get yourself a ticket. Go support it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be available at the door. Like
no.
That will legit sell out. It's Joe Hendry.
Yeah, and then like with everyone else like on that, like I would be actually really excited to see Chris Nasty again. That dude was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I liked him. He's a good dude.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys if you've made it this far. We appreciate JP from Fighting Spirit coming on. I appreciate you, Kyle. I don't know if we say that enough, but I appreciate you, buddy.
Love you.
I love you, buddy. And also, if you're looking for the sickest of pumps. Get yourself some Psychopharma, Edge of Insanity. That shit is insane. Get you looking like Dust Wonder Kid back there. Look at that. That's what Edge of Insanity gets you feeling like.
Gets you feeling like the most nitroest of nitro girls. He's on his way to the ring to wrestle Glacier.
Match of the year.
Mortal Kombat.
Well, hold on. If he's gonna be fighting Glacier, and then Alex Wright, that would make him Johnny Cage. It's like you can't tell me that's not a Johnny Cage. Let us know in the comments below. Is Alex Wright a Johnny Cage adjacent character?
I could see that. He needs the sunglasses, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely needs the sunglasses. But shout out to the homie Mike Nordyke from the Outlanders show as well. Love you, Mike. And love you. If you made it this far, we appreciate you guys. Yeah, if you want to get sick pumps, Camacho 42069, use the promo code, get yourself 20% off. Yeah.
Save money
In these hard economic times. Don't let hard economics fuck with your gains.
Yeah, don't let them put hard times on your pump.
No. But yeah, thank you again, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.